wipe your top lip.
There. Thank you.
Try to sit up straight and not slouch because my neck's been hurting. I think the reason my neck's been hurting so much. They were in the fridge. I wish you wouldn't do that.
Sorry.
How are you supposed to eat the caramel ones when they've been in the fridge?
Aha! Ice cream lady will now come down the aisles and sell you ice creams.
Do
She has dipped dabs. Welcome to Favourite Places to Knit, episode
31.
Correct. And we're here at Vindolanda. Now, the most amazing thing about Vindolanda is we know an awful lot about it. And do you know why, Kay? I think you do know why. They left us something.
They left us something. Oh, the tablets.
They left us tablets, postcards from 2,000 years ago. Do you know how they left them to us?
No, this is like a test again. You always test me.
This is no. What I don't want to do is I don't want to insult you by telling you something
How
you
they
already
left
know.
them. I don't know how they left them.
Whenever a garrison moved out, it's very much like modern armies. They would move into an area, they would put up a camp, and when they got moved on, they would collapse everything and they would burn everything that they didn't need to take with them. Now, what happened here at Vindolanda, and it happened on a number of occasions, and it is because of the way the land lies, because it's not particularly flat.
No.
What they did was they cleared out, they threw all their rubbish, and the tablets was some of that rubbish, into pits. And then they set it on fire, but because it was wet and damp, the fire went out. The next cohort then came in a few days later and they laid clay over the top. And so that created a perfect environment for them to be saved. So we know an awful lot about what's going on here. And we're going to find out about that right now. This is the CO's house. It's the most important building in the whole of the fort. And in 97 AD, Julius Veracundus, the boss of the first cohort of Tungrians, was being moved out. And in was coming Flavius Cerialis and his wife, Sepalicia Lepidina. And this was going to be their home for the next 7 years. They were from a cohort of Batavians, that's from an area of Germany. And then they moved to this house. And this really was Rome away from Rome. You can see as you look around, there's hypocausts. This would have been open air, and very similar to houses in Rome, and it's linked directly just over there to the CO's office, which we'll go and explore in just a second. But Sepalicia is a really important lady because Sepalicia had a birthday invite sent to her around about 100 AD, and that birthday invite was the first recorded writing of a woman in history, and it was the only writing of a woman in history for about another 1,000 years as well. But let's explore a little bit more. It's super cool. The commanding officer's house is the most prestigious house within the whole of the complex. That's the outside wall, actually. That's the drainage coming out. You can see there the floor slabs still in place, and that's underfloor heating underneath. These are the rooms within the house that would have been used by the commanding officer, his wife, obviously his servants, but also his children. And you do get a sense when you walk around this space that it was a home. Look over there, behind those people walking along, there is underfloor heating, and that would have been evident in all of the living rooms. There'd have been a lot of side rooms as well that servants would have used to prepare food, and also to teach the children of the commanding officer. But the most important thing for this space was that it was close to the basilica, and that was the commanding officer, Julius Veracundus, obviously first of all, but then also moving on, many other officers. It was his office. So it's a short walk to work for Flavius Cerialis. You see, I remembered, Kay. I'm a genius. That was his house with his wife, Sepulchria Lepidina. Come on. And here was his office, where all his officers would come in, and he would, in this room here, he would stand on a dais over there and he would address them. It was called a tribunal, and that's where we get the word from today. Now over here, some really exciting bits. In the middle there, you see the strong room, that's downstairs. Above that was the chapel of the standards, and that's where they kept the standard that they would carry into battle. The standard bearer also used to pay the troops, so they wanted to, protect him and be his friend. And he would pay them here, and you can see here, just come and look at this. Look at that. Look, textured, would have been really beautiful. And that's where another one would have been, over that side. And either side was other offices, and Romans kept an awful lot of records. And that's again one of the reasons why we know so much about here, because so many of those records were thrown into a pit and covered in clay and kept for us forever. And then over here, this is where, now you see this is different, and I need to research this. Because in all the praetoriums that I've been in before, that area there was, when it's like a veranda on the outside, and then in the middle there's an area where troops can come in and stand around. Well, that's just not the case at all. I think that what's happened there is, in the years afterward, that's been developed by people, non-Romans, who've lived here. So moving away from the basilica and the commanding officer's house, we take a walk down one of the main roads within the fort, and what we're looking at here is the barrack blocks. Now, many of the legions that were based here were part mounted, so there would have been horses and men living in these barrack blocks. Now, these would have been long buildings, as we saw there on the model, each with their own little doorway and a few men living within each space. Apologies for some of the rolling shutter there that you can see on the screen. Unfortunately, the footway is really bumpy, and so my camera work was somewhat jolty, so apologies for that, but I really wanted to show you these pictures. What we're doing now is we're making our way towards the west gate. This would have been a huge building, this would have been one of the main entrances in, coming up through that valley into Vindolanda, and what you're looking there now is straight down the Staingate Road, one of the most important roads running previous to the Roman Hadrian's wall being built. We're now looking back up the west gate. This would have been quite a sight, but then as we just begin to look across here to the left, we see some huts, some roundhouses, and these are a bit of a mystery because roundhouses were natives' houses, and they actually think that these were houses used by some native warriors who fought with one of the later generals, the African emperor Severus Severus. So they're really interesting buildings to see here at Vindolanda. Where the Roman army went, they needed a bath. Now, this fort was active for hundreds of years, and there are a couple of bathhouses available to see. This is the most impressive. This was built for a French cohort in the later period, and this bathhouse actually falls outside of the fort area, just in the Vicus, the very large Vicus. And as you can see from that picture at the start of a reconstruction, you really can see as well as the bathhouse at Chester, which is absolutely stunning. You can see exactly what each room was doing, from the cold room to the hot room to the plunge pool. And look, you can even see some of the cement flooring. Of course, the Romans invented cement. It's a really amazing building to go and look at. The only thing you can't do is actually get in there and walk around it, because it's run a slightly different way, Vindolanda. Now let's take a walk, you and I, through the Vicus at Vindolanda. Again, apologies for some of the jolty filming. It is literally because, as you can see underfoot, the floor is extremely bumpy, and I really wanted to show you these pictures. This is the most excavated Vicus that I have ever visited, and the reason for that is because of the way Vindolanda is owned, and we're going to speak more about this later. They are constantly excavating. They have been excavating since the early 1900s, and they believe that they will be excavating here for the next 100 to 200 years. There's already been 3 generations of the same family excavating here, and the work that they do is unbelievable. It's not the most impressive of sites, and we're going to talk more about that later. When I say impressive, I mean geographically. When you consider Housesteads and how stunning that was, this is a much more low-lying fort, but because of that, that meant that the preservation of the fort is much better. Now what we're doing here is we're now just walking through one of the main gates, and we're walking down past barrack blocks on the left and on the right, and towards, just in the distance there, is where the CEO's house and the basilica is. So those are the 2 areas that we've already explored. And also, if you look in the distance, we can see 2 little sort of pinky purple blobs, and they will gradually become Kay and Bryony, who are actually sat on the it's the South Gatehouse. It's a very small gatehouse because the main route on this fort was running from the east across to the west, along that Staingate Road that we've mentioned a few times. On the right hand side there now you can see the buildings that we've already explored. That's the CEO's house, and we're now just going to take a seat with Kay and Bryony and just have a little chat about some postcards, some very exciting postcards. So the walk that we've taken has taken us all the way through that Vicus there, and then down right the way through the centre of the fort, right the way across to that South Gatehouse. So we're sat just off the main road, walking through the fort, and the commanding officer's house is just behind us, the house of Flavius Cerialis, and over there, darling, over there. And I was just telling you, wasn't I, Bryony, that their best friends were called Aelius Brocchus and Claudia Severa, and they spent, in 100 AD, they spent New Year with them. And you can find, I don't know what you need to search on actually, and I've not found a comprehensive book, but if you search on Vindolanda tablets, you can actually find the information specifically and read the postcards. And I'd urge you to do so, because you were just seeing in the museum, weren't you? The way, what did it say? Early in the morning or something? Nice and early.
Tomorrow.
Come to Vindolanda nice and early in the morning or something.
No,
it was very
tomorrow, nice and early. Come to Vindolanda.
That was it. Yeah.
It was the way that they were, and I think this has been one of the biggest surprises through reading these tablets that all forts would have produced, but you know, the totally unique conditions here meant that they've stayed for us to see. The way that they're talking to each other, it's just like we talk to each other now. It's completely amazing, I think, because it makes it even more close to us. It becomes, you know, sort of within touching distance. The Vicuses are absolutely amazing because what so many people I don't think realise is that the Roman army was a professional army, so they were all paid. So wherever a fort sprang up...
I didn't know. Oh, if I lean back, look at that.
I'm a seat.
Oh, that's really nice.
You didn't know that?
I didn't realise I could lean back. Oh, no, I didn't realise that they were paid, no.
Yeah, they were a professional army, so they were all paid soldiers. And wherever paid soldiers go, they want to spend their money. And so there's pubs and restaurants. It really is an amazing place, and it's lovely to sit here. But I think we all agree that Housesteads is a nicer spot. So you've already seen Housesteads, and I'm sure you'll all agree as well, that Housesteads is a much more striking spot. And of course, that's because it was built on Hadrian's Wall, whereas this was built on the Staingate Road. That's the road travelling across the country to the west, and this was built to protect the Staingate Road. One family is synonymous with Vindolanda, and that family is the Burleys. Now, that was the home of the Burleys for many years. That's Chesterholm. That's now where the museum is, and you're going to see some pieces here from that museum. Now, the Burleys purchased Vindolanda and have been excavating it ever since. They purchased it in the early 1900s from an estate that you will recognise, the Clayton estate. One of the things that they wanted to do was they wanted to recreate the wall, and what we're looking at here is the wall on the western side of Hadrian's Wall was built an awful lot on marshes and on land where they couldn't put up stone walls. So what they did was they built, which was much more actually traditionally Roman, they built wooden walls with great big mud mounds, and this is one of the wooden guard towers, how it would have been on the west side, but also as well in parts of the empire where they weren't necessarily setting down roots. They would build these types of structures. So it's amazing to be able to get in here, and it's the only place in the country which I'm aware of where you can actually do this. You can get in here and see what it's like, and as we look over this, we get to see what Hadrian's Wall would have looked like. Now check that out. That is that's a mile castle there on the right hand side, and imagine what that mile castle would have looked like there we are at Housesteads, and imagine what the wall would have looked like to that height there. In 1973 the Burleys decided to build a replica of Hadrian's Wall and also the mile castles, and what's also really cool is they built the temporary wall as well, and also in certain stretches they couldn't put up stone because the ground was so marshy, so they put up wood and mud palisades. So we're actually stood on the replica built in 1973, and the funny thing about this is they built it and they didn't get planning permission, and the planners heard about what they'd done, and they came along and they inspected it, but they inspected it to 20th century standards. So they turned it down and told them they were going to have to pull it down. And it wasn't until the national press got involved that this was allowed to stay up. And if you just look behind you there as well, there is a replica of the mile castles. So that is exactly what would have been every mile, every Roman mile, which is slightly shorter than a 20th century mile, there would have been one of those. Now check this out. We're now just outside Chesterholm, which is the museum that is at Vindolanda, and here there's a beautiful stream and river, and then what they've done is they've rebuilt a temple, a Roman temple, and they've also rebuilt a Vicus house and also a Vicus shop, so it's exactly to the specifications. And what they do with on the inside is they have actors. Let's just have a listen. Now, they're not real actors, this is a recording, and I think it's actually triggered as you walk in. But it really does add that feeling of authenticity to the experience.
Oh, nymphs, oh, spirits.
And they're painted, the walls are painted there, how they would have been at Roman times. It's so colourful, so grand, so beautiful, and it adds so much more. You often have to use your mind's eye when you're on these trips. Here we have, on the right-hand side, a house, on the left-hand side, a shop. Now, we've been on quite the journey, quite the Roman journey. Let's take a look back at some of the places that we've visited, from Piercebridge to our trip up to the wall, to our first visit to the wall at Waltown Crags. There's Kay at Vindolanda. It's been a real journey. Thank you so much for taking it with us, and we'll see you next week for more favourite places to knit. Oh no!
No.
It's come back to us. And also, I've just had, do you remember when you get...
Oh, you inhale sherbet.
Yeah. We were at the cinema. We were watching the show.
We'll watch him.
That was good. Although cold.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We must just take a moment to say, what a wonderful summer we're not having. And many of you will be shouting now because earlier on this summer we were complaining about it being too warm.
Yeah, we just had 1 week where it was stupidly hot.
That was 1 week.
1 week, yeah.
What you've just seen is the middle of the English summer.
Yeah.
And yes, I was flying the flag for summer with my t-shirt and no hat. But as you saw, Bryony it was so cold, she was in a partially made hat. We thought we would do. How did it come up? Oh, because we spoke about rebels,
Yeah,
didn't
we
we?
mentioned rebels on the last episode, and our lovely friends in the States were not sure at all what rebels were. So
Guess who has some rebels?
Who has them?
Yanni Nana.
How's she got some rebels?
Pam Chatfield.
How has she got rebels?
I want to come round your house and have a knit along. I shall bring my revels. Margaret sent her a lovely package, and she posted a picture.
You sent her some rebels.
Not
I've got sherbet
just-
all over me.
She also sent her curly whirlies,
Curly whirlies.
like full-size curly
Oh, I'm going
whirlies.
to say we've got some mini ones in the drawer. But not-
No, we don't.
You've eaten them all?
Yes.
Right.
Curly whirlies will appear in a later edition of this section. We don't really have a name for this section.
No, what's in your sweet jar?
Oh, please do suggest something. So what we thought we would do is, at the start of the next couple of podcasts, we'll see how it goes. We'll share with you. It's a shame we can't literally share with you.
I know.
So
Mine is the original sherbet dib dab.
Who knows what that is? We'd love to know who knows what that is.
And it was always Barracks that made these, and it looks like now Barracks have changed their name to Candyland. But they're made in, let's have a look, Blackpool.
Oh, they see? It tastes all the better now. Because it was made in Blackpool.
Look. So yours is like a newer version. Yours is a refresher dib dab. And basically what a dib dab is you get a lolly, as we call them, and sherbet. And you dip your lolly into the sherbet. And it's like a sort of, dib dab is a lemony flavoured sherbet, and the lollipop is strawberry.
This is a tingly and zingy, and it's bursting with fizz. It's a colourful citrusy candy with raspberry sherbet to dip and to dab. It's refreshment you'll want to keep handy. I wouldn't call this refreshment.
The sweets aren't refreshing, really,
No.
are they? But yours,
I've got to say,
comes
I like
from
it.
the original. They're refreshers.
Crumbs, it's not even 9 o'clock and we're...
It's not.
we're
It's quarter to
talking-
9 and we're eating sweets. But this is a refresher. Oh, that one's broken. The
they
first
always
one is
break.
always broken.
But that's quite cool.
They come in different colours and they're all sort of different fruity
Show it.
flavours. It's like a little...
It dissolves on the tongue.
Yeah, really lovely. And I used to eat these when I was little, and Bryony likes them now.
I like to
So,
crunch
yeah.
them. We spoke about these because we were talking about ravelry and revels and
They
revelling.
are fizzy.
Describe a revel.
Well, it's a chocolate. They're chocolates, but there's about 6 different centres, I think. Is that right? 5 or 6 different centres, and you never really know what you're going to get in the centre. They're all kind of, some of them are round. These ones, you know what they're going to be. That's just like solid chocolate. And then
Danger.
yeah, I mean, you see, these are the dangerous ones because it could be coffee, it could be orange, or it could be a nut.
They've stopped doing
Or
that.
toffee. They don't do the nuts anymore.
No,
Oh, that'll be because of allergies, won't it?
that's exactly right.
You see, what's that one? That one, I thought that would be a nut.
Is it a raisin? That's a raisin. Is there coffee ones in here?
Well, I hope they've not changed all the recipes.
There was an advert, wasn't there?
Yeah.
It looked like somewhere in Vietnam or something. Or...
Oh,
Coffee. Is it?
yeah.
Okay, here's the victor. They're really nice.
Mm.
And I'm shocked you can't get them. Well, I mean,
There's not, a lot of things don't transfer.
let's
though,
have a
across-
worldwide check.
Yeah, which countries can you get rebels in?
Please let us know if you can get these. And also let us know if you can't. The next sweet to check is the...
Sherbet dib dabs.
Well, it's a dip dab.
I always used to call it a dib dab.
It's a dip dab.
Dip dab.
Yeah. And the third one is the refresher dip dab.
Refreshers.
Yeah. So it would be lovely to know if you can get these. And if you can get these, go and get one and try it if you haven't tried it and let us know what you think. Which do we think is our favourite?
Dib dabs. I love these.
Yeah, do you know what? I've really
What did
enjoyed
that one I don't really want to lick off your lolly.
It's nice, isn't it?
Shall I dip my lolly in it? It's very, very similar actually.
Yeah.
It's not, I prefer that one.
The red lolly is really nice in
Yeah.
there. So yeah, let us know what you think. And that's the end of our first What's in Your Sweetie Jar. So I think it's now time to find out what's on your needles.
The first thing on my needles is my lovely hat. Here's my lovely hat. Oh, look at that. I've knit quite a bit more on it. I don't feel like I've actually done a whole lot of knitting, but I probably have done more than I thought. So this is my lovely sockhead, bankhead, blue tit hat. I've got to think of a better name for it, haven't I, than that? Can't be called that.
No.
And I measured it last night and I'm at just over 5 inches. And I think I'm going to knit
what you need to do is you need to marry together blue tit and bankhead. And just try that out. And
blue bank.
That's it.
Yeah, that works.
It's your blue bank hat.
It's my blue bank hat.
That does sound nice though.
It does.
Yeah, I like it. Carry on.
I think I'm going to knit to 7 inches.
It's striping very differently, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely. I love it. And I've actually
compared
ordered.
To that, I mean, it is interesting how.
Yeah.
Is that because they're different yarn size?
Well, it's a combination of everything. There's different needle size. There's obviously a huge difference in stitch count, and I'm just so pleased with how it's knit up. I think it just looks so nice. And I ordered 2 more skeins of the bird colourways because there was a couple that I saw on the thread, the West Yorkshire Spinners thread on the group, and I just loved the colourways and I haven't used them, and I've ordered owl and mallard, and I think they should come today actually. Ooh. They were dispatched on Monday and it's second class, so they should come today. And I think I'm going to knit more hats with them.
Right.
I think it's brilliant, and also I do think I'm going to have enough for 2 hats in a ball.
Gosh, that's good.
I know, because that's at 5 inches, so I've just got 2 more inches to go, because I don't want, I do like a little bit of slouch, as we've had this long discussion, but not too much. And I've still got all that, look. I think what I'll do is I'll knit another one if I've got enough and give it to your mum.
Cool, she'll love that.
Yeah, she'll love it.
When she's out birding, she can hide in the bushes and she'll look like...
pretend to be a blue tit.
Yes.
I'm knitting it as well on, somebody asked me about the needles recently. I'm knitting on 3mm needles, one of the little sock knitting needles. And Claudia, one of our patrons, asked me about the actual, you know, the small circular needles that you use for knitting hats. But basically this is a very small circular needle. It's a 40cm needle, and they have a very small needle tip. I measured it this morning and they're 3.5 inches, the needle tip, and they're usually 5 or 6, I think, aren't they, on you know, your standard interchangeables or, you know, your usual longer circular needles. And these ones are Knit Pro Nova, and they're really lovely. You know, they're so reasonably priced, and the tips are really nice and, you know, quite pointy really. And the join is smooth, and I've not had any issues at all, so I will be knitting all of my future.
Blue bank,
but I can't call it that if I use the mallard colourway or the owl. It could be an owl bank, mallard bank. These sound like places in the middle of the countryside, don't they? Yeah. So yeah, so that's what needle I'm using. And poor old Claudia, she lives, I say poor old Claudia, but she lives in the Florida Keys. I think that's the way that she described it. It sounded like the Florida Keys. And she has to make like a 3-hour journey to get to any kind of yarny shops.
Oh no.
It's like, oh my gosh, that just is tragic, isn't it?
No.
So yeah, I think that's everything about my hat. Can't get into my bag. What's on your needles?
Well, look.
As if we didn't know.
It is some more blue tit yarn. Yay! And it's my sock. Look at that.
My sock.
It's Kay's sock. Yes, I'm knitting this for Kay, so she'll be able to be matched with her hat and her socks.
Matching hat and socks.
Yes, and I have been following the patrons' tutorials. I'm sort of lost for words. I was so unbelievable. I mean, I've not done a particularly good job on the inside. The outside looks okay, thankfully, and I managed to do that pick-up stitch thingy Okay,
Yes,
so not leaving any gaps
you did.
in that, which is really great. It took me 2 attempts to do the, what are they called, the picking up the gusset stitches. Yeah.
Yes.
It took me 2 attempts to do that, and the second attempt I picked up too far down, so there's a ridge inside the sock. But
It's really, I mean, I said to him, don't tear it out and redo it. It's absolutely fine and it serves its purpose.
I think what I would say is you learn
And
so
it's
much.
it's a learning thing, isn't it?
And I said to Kay the other night that I can totally see why people don't do this, because you have to really apply yourself. But the best things in life are not free. You have to work
You do.
a little bit for them. And I felt an awful lot more pride in doing that than I would have done taking an easy way out. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do, you could learn to knit socks and do an afterthought heel, which, to be honest, the technique for doing an afterthought heel is quite tricky, I think, with the waste yarn and everything. And I've said it before, but I mean, I'll say it again. I do think this is the way that socks were invented to be knit. I know when you buy socks, just a shop bought sock, it does just look like it's got effectively like an afterthought or a short row heel in it. But we're making a custom fit sock, aren't we? And you want it to fit properly. And have a go. I would always just say, have a go if you've never done it. And if all you've knit is afterthought heels or short row heels, then just have a go.
When you succeed, even when it is slightly off, you just feel brilliant. It's the best I felt knitting anything ever. What that's done now is that's sort of created a real interest for me in the whole DPN sock, because I really like. If you remember, when I go onto DPNs when I'm closed at hats, I really like using DPNs. So that has made me very excited about the filming of the DPN sock tutorials,
which we have started.
Yes, so that is the new series of tutorials which we're running right now, and the first one that went out yesterday I absolutely loved, because there was lots of talk and you going through all your socks and talking about your favourite ones and the right needles and yarn and stuff. I love it when you do that.
I can always manage to talk about knitting, can't I? I do think that having, knit socks on both methods, I kind of think that knitting them on DPNs makes more sense when you do it. Yeah.
And all of that has now, it sort of got me thinking about the whole bakery bear.
You want to make a bakery bear?
Well, I'm moving towards...
It's not as tricky as doing a heel flap and picking up the stitches, let me tell you. It's not as tricky as the hat.
Well, as the patrons will know, there's a whole range of bakery bear tutorials now, so I could sit down and work my way through those. I think I'd probably need to get a couple of pairs of socks done, maybe finish these off Magic Loop and then do a pair on DPNs, and then maybe move on to it there. Have you been enjoying doing the whole tutorials thing? Because I know you
have.
Well, it's interesting. It's been an interesting metamorphosis, I think, with you.
It has, because I honestly didn't think people would be interested, because there's so many tutorials out there, aren't there, already on YouTube. I just kept saying to you, do you think people will want to watch these? But everybody seems to love them. And actually now that I do really enjoy doing them. I think, it's fun to do these little projects and to see it through, kind of thing, to the end. Because I think there's more to say about something than sometimes I see on a tutorial on YouTube. And it's only from actually doing it myself and me talking through the process that I've kind of come to realise that maybe, people say it in different ways or show it in a different way, or just a different way of explaining, I think, really.
Yeah, I think it's about half the battle for me with teaching children or adults is the pupil needs to relate to and believe in the tutor.
Right, yeah.
And I think that the only way that that's achieved is through putting in the hard yards of relationship building. And effectively that's what you've done over the last year
I guess,
is
yeah.
we've had the immense privilege of building up a relationship with all of you, which then means if Kay does a tutorial, people already feel bought into you, so they don't have to get to know you. I think human
True,
beings like
yeah.
you go through a stage of getting to know someone before you start listening to actually what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's understandable, because I think in all of us you have your protections, don't you? You know, I'm just going to take a step back a little bit before.
You're guarded, aren't you?
It's the delivery and everything, and it's great.
Thank you very much.
It's all right. I'm super proud, considering how shy she was and how shy she is, and actually how shy we both are. Although people would never believe that.
No, and a lot of people say this that do podcasts say the same thing.
I've been super proud. It'd be great. What else is on your needles?
Well, I didn't
It's some socks and DPNs.
It is some socks and DPNs. I didn't have this with me the last time because I just took away new projects, if you remember. But I came home and it actually re-energised me to come back and finish off some of the things that I'd got on the needles. So I think that's really great, and I maybe would recommend that, because you do get tired of projects, don't you? And we've all been there. You're on the second sock and you're like, oh my gosh, or you're halfway through a jumper and you've just kind of had enough of it. And I just think, not having those projects near me, so I didn't have guilt for not working on them because they weren't anywhere near me. I just had all these fresh, lovely new projects, which was fantastic. And then, I came home and I just really wanted to work on these things that were half finished. So you should maybe try that, if you're knitting a jumper or a cardigan and you're just tired of it, stick it in a bag and put it in a room, another room in your house or whatever where you won't see it. And then just cast on something new and give it a week or a couple of weeks even. And I bet you'll feel re-energised and want to go back to it. What I'm knitting on now is, if you remember, I'm knitting down a pair of socks in the Opal Van Gogh. And this one is the sunflowers. I'll show you the lovely ball band there. And as I've said, these are discontinued now, and I so wish I'd got the whole series. Honestly, the series is on the back there, on the back of the ball band. And I think I've knit, this is the third pair from the series, and I've got one more. But there were a couple that I didn't manage to get. But they're all the colours. You can still pick them up sometimes on, some Etsy shops sometimes have them, or D-stashers maybe. So I have finished one sock. Now there's a bit of a story with this. This is the finished sock. Doesn't fit on the sock blocker, so I'll just hold it up as is. You can see I did a little contrast heel. And I knit it exactly, I count rows, and I knit it exactly as I've knit all these other socks. He's had several pairs of Opal, Osterman Step, all kind of this sort of yarn. This one came out big in length on his foot, and I just can't, I've checked my gauge against other socks and it's the same. I'm totally flummoxed by it. Maybe I've just miscounted my rows, that's the only thing I can think, but I do count and count and count again. So he has tried it on and it just seemed a bit long in the foot. So I'm going to get him to try it on one more time, and if it is definitely long in the foot, I'm going to rip back the toe and just take out 5 rows. So that's the first one.
Nice.
Lovely, lovely. And I love, actually normally with Opal, I don't do anything about the heel. I don't do any sort of colour changing or anything. But by doing the different coloured heel, it does keep the pattern, doesn't it, on the leg, and I really think that looks lovely. So I'm going to do that more often, I think. And I'm really enjoying working on it again. And I was a bit tired of it, like I said, but now I'm really loving it. And this is in one of my little bags that I've been, sorry darling,
right.
Elbowed you, that I've been making just lately. It's one of the little mouse bags. And thank you to everybody who bought a bag in last Saturday's update. They went in a flash again. I'm so sorry, but I'm really grateful to people that, you know, that they are buying them, that you are buying them. And there is 3 more of these mouse bags in this coming Saturday's update, which I think is there's a sock size like this, usual time, 7 p.m. UK time. But there's another one of the sock wedges. There's a shawl size and there's a large wedge in this fabric that'll be going in on Saturday, and then there'll be some other stuff as well. Dan Jones.
Yes.
Oh, do I have to say it again?
Well, it'd be nice if you did, because you normally forget anyway. So
do I ever forget?
Oh.
I might need a reminder, but I don't know that I ever forget. What's on your needles?
Well, this yarn's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's so amazing.
It is.
What was I knitting on actually in York? What was
it? Might have been that.
Yeah, oh, well, that's why it made me think of it. We thought we'd pop to York.
We were walking on the walls,
do you know what?
And there's you get to an area where there's steps up and there's quite a few seats. So he said, "Oh, we'll just sit down for a minute and have a drink." And Dan sat there and he got his knitting out. I'm like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I was like, because it was really busy, you know, people walking past every second, and there were some people sat down as well. He's like, "I'm going to knit." I'm like, "Oh gosh."
And I don't care.
And, you know, even I wouldn't. Well, I probably would have sat there and knit.
It was great. It was great.
But not the same time Dan was knitting. I think we would have just looked like absolute, I don't know. Which is ridiculous, you know, why not, really? It's not like we're
It was liberating.
Sat there with a bottle of vodka drinking of an afternoon or anything.
It was so liberating.
You loved it. You could have stayed there all day.
I'd have just sat there.
We sat there for a good 10, 15 minutes.
And, you know, to sit on the York walls. And it was, I posted something on Instagram, and it was after me and B had gone. You went into Ramshambles and we went up for a little walk around the Minster. And we went up to where I went to school, and every day I used to walk from school over to the Minster to go and sing at the services, and we used to walk over the road, because it was a road then, it wasn't pedestrianised, and I'd doff my cap at people as we walked over. But then I would walk past a massive statue of the Roman Emperor Constantine, and then I would obviously then walk into the Minster, and it was sort of at that moment I realised where my fascination with Rome and abbeys comes from. So this yarn is knit natural, and it's just amazing. It's got a real tight twist on it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's beautifully spun.
Susie. And she said this was spun up specifically for us.
I know. How sweet is that?
It's.
I'm not a spinner at all, and I've never spun. But if I was a spinner, that is how I would want to spin. It's absolutely beautiful.
And
it really is, and it's knitting up. Just look at that.
Whatever I'm left with,
so
I don't care. Whatever I'm left with, I'm going to knit something with it.
Well, you'll have a fair bit left, I think.
It's breathtaking.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you're getting the full.
You can see it there. Yeah.
The full feel of that. And is this one? This is Kessel Run, isn't it?
Kessel Run, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Polworth, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's the Polworth one.
I absolutely adore it, Susie. Thank you.
It's beautiful.
So much.
It's so nice.
And of course, I'm knitting.
You can see the 2 rows I knit. Look at the difference in the.
I'm knitting a blanket. So that's my progress. And I had started it when we were on holiday.
You had, yes. You took it with you.
I'd done a few rows.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Could you do a double twist?
I've done it on my blue tit hat.
Oh.
It's fabulous. It really pops out. It looks amazing.
Knit through the back loop.
Yeah.
Pearl.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That you know, with your stitch definition, because you knit so tightly as well, I think it would look fabulous. You should try it on your next one.
What else is on your needles?
Well, it's another pair of socks. I have kind of maybe cast on too many socks all at once.
She has a sock fetish.
But what I'm doing is now I'm back, I'm working through them one at a time. I'm just concentrating on one pair and getting them done, moving on to the next, and I'm doing that. And that seems to be working. So this one, it's the one in the Fortissima Mexico cotton stretch in the batik colourway number 45. It's this one. And I spoke about it before, you know, it's the yarn with the, like elastic. Feels like there's kind of an elastic of some sort in it. But I decided to make these kind of little shorty socks.
They look like refreshers.
They do a bit, don't they? Yeah. Yeah.
It's your refresher socks.
Yeah, they do a bit. Because it's the cotton socks and they'd be nice for summer, I thought, well, I'll make them little shorty socks because I don't like my socks very long anyway. So I've just done a short cuff and I've done the heel flap, turned the heel, and I've done all the gusset decreases and I'm on the foot now.
You've done very well there.
Well, do you know? No, what's happened is I wound off a little ball to do the heel with so that I didn't lose the striping here. So this bit was actually knit with a separate little ball, and I found the place where I was colour-wise, so it does follow on as well. But the way that I've been putting in a contrast heel, I'm not sure it's completely the best way. What I do is I will just, when I'm ready to knit the heel flap, I'll just change yarns, leave obviously the other yarn attached, the main ball attached, knit the heel flap and the heel turn with the contrast yarn or with the, the little ball of yarn. And then what I'll do is I'll pick up one side of the sock with the same little contrast or separate ball, and then you're back to where your main yarn is attached. So I'll then cut the yarn and then carry on with the main yarn. So I'll knit across and then pick up the other side with the main yarn. Now previously that's not been a problem. You've not been able to really see it because it's just in that very first row. But what happened this time is when I picked up stitches with the contrast, it got to the white section, and I'll show you, and it just had like 2 little stitches of white. Oh, it stands out like an absolute sore thumb.
Oh no.
And if that had been any of the other colours, you probably wouldn't have been able to see it, but it had to be, didn't it, 2 stitches of white. And look, I hold it back here and you can still see it.
Oh, no. Disaster.
So I've been thinking about this non-stop since it happened, because you can't really, you can't really see it unless you really pull it back here, where I've picked up. I don't find it's ever been a problem doing it that way. But I know that what some people have said they do is they knit the heel flap, heel turn, as I've said, but then cut the yarn at that point, then go back to your main yarn, and I suppose you'd have to then knit across that row, wouldn't you? And then pick up your stitches. And maybe I'll try that next time, maybe with the other one of Dan's socks, to see whether that works. Because that's just annoying, isn't it? When that happened, I was like, oh, what, are you kidding me? And these ones I am knitting on my Knit Picks Sunstruck. I had to think then, the wooden ones, and I spoke about these again before, and I really love these ones. Actually, all of the DPNs I've been using I really, really like. So I'm really loving this, and a couple of people asked me about the yarn, saying is it nice to knit with? It's absolutely fine. I'm not having any issues because of the cotton. It obviously doesn't feel like a merino, but it's not bothering my hands or anything like that. And I do think they'll be very hard wearing socks. And these are the ones I'm doing on 2.25s. It's my little experiment to see whether really I should be knitting mine on 2.25s rather than 2.5s. So we shall see. I think it must be your go.
How exciting. This is my Violet Waffles hat, isn't it? And this is the beautiful handspun. It's my favourite from Deb.
From lovely Deb.
Yes. I have knit many hats in this beautiful yarn. And they have all been hats.
Yeah, I've knit different things with Deb's handspun.
Have you?
I've knit a giraffe, which was fabulous.
Where's that one? Who is it?
It went to your mum.
Oh.
And I loved that giraffe.
Did that go to that little girl?
A baby that had been born.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
To think that.
But I did love that giraffe.
That is probably a gothy too.
I know.
Another little girl, which is just so lovely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's it just feels a little bit different.
It's a different base. I mean, that one is Polworth.
No, I didn't mean to that one. I meant to Deb's usual.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In what way?
I don't know. This feels a little bit more fluffy.
It's quite airy, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I do think, yeah.
I just love the colours. Shall I hold up so you can... Oh my goodness, look at that. Is that not fabulous?
And I think
Oh, it's just beautiful.
one of the reasons why
I love the colours, Deb. I just love those colours.
have taken, the purples are lovely.
Purple's gorgeous.
One of the reasons why I've taken to knitting, I think, is, and this is a funny link, I used to drink whiskey. I don't anymore. I don't drink anything anymore.
We don't drink full stop.
No, and I feel great. But that sounds like we used to be knocking it back.
We weren't lushers or anything
The
like that.
last time we got drunk was the night we met. But yeah, the reason why I was linking the two is whiskey is just whiskey.
Let me show you.
But it isn't. Because everyone is slightly different. You know, there's hints and notes and pops of flavour. And the most amazing thing about yarn is, to someone who is a non-knitter, you would just think, well,
beautiful.
Wool's wool.
They probably would think
Yeah.
that, you're right.
A non-knitter does think that.
Yeah.
It's only through experiencing it and feeling it and knitting with different ones and seeing how some are itchy and some are not, and some are itchy for some people but not for others.
Feel,
and
it's got a light, it feels very light. Yeah.
And handspun.
That one feels heavier than that one.
It's the most amazing.
What is it? It's just merino nylon. Maybe it's the way that she spun it. Can you spin it in a more lofty way? I think you can. You see, I don't know, do I, about these things? But
in summary, I can see why people get so excited about yarn. I can totally see how. And someone said to me, when you posted that picture of me knitting, someone said, "Oh, you trendsetter, you." And I said, well, that's the first time ever. But then I read something. There was an article in the paper. It was in the Guardian last year, in January 2014, and it was how knitting was becoming so much more popular in this country. It's a 25% increase on the Google search for the word knitting, and they'd spoken to different UK businesses, and there'd been a big uplift. I know we talk about this a lot, but I would love to see, and I'm always very enthused to see, when people talk about it as not some niche weirdo activity, because it isn't. One of the patrons posted a really interesting news report to the patrons group, and it was all about how this film had been made in Sheffield.
yes.
And the film, I found the film is brilliant. So the normal Baker Best Facebook group. So if you haven't seen it, if you head over there and have a look, it is there. But the news report was reported in a way where they were sort of laughing a bit about it, and they'd sent
this is the problem with it. This is the problem.
And the reporter was having a go, and do you know what? He was having a go, and you could just sort of tell in the way he was doing it, he was sort of taking the mick.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you're not doing us any favours here, because people my age will look at that and go, look at that, look at him, what a fool, he's knitting. We play to it has an image, a stigma.
Yes, it has.
We've got to get rid of it, people.
We have.
And someone posted on that picture of me knitting, I don't know who it was, but someone posted, it was on the Bakery Bears, public Facebook group, and a bloke put, if I'd seen that, I'd have smacked it out of his hands.
Really?
Go look.
I didn't see that.
Go look. And there you have the example of what so many people think. Have you tried it? And I think Kay's point is, that person, it was a guy, that person will spend probably many hours of the week playing on his PlayStation, or doing something which doesn't actually
people
result
accept
in
that,
you getting
don't they?
something rather amazing at the end of it. So don't have a go at us, and we won't have a go at you then.
Yeah.
We will be accepting of everyone. So yeah, let's fly the flag. I'm going to knit more in public, and we're going to win this battle.
Yes.
We're going to get everyone knitting.
I think the world would be a better place if everybody knit.
Yes.
I don't think it's just about, creating something to wear or something,
It's about
to gift.
peace of mind.
It is absolutely about that.
Reflecting on what had gone on the day before and the week before, and putting that to bed, and then moving on without reflection, without doing those things, putting those things to bed. They'll always be sat there in your mind.
Well,
knitting.
I know that.
Yeah. Knitting helps you so much with that. So,
I finished the leg on that sock now.
Nice.
Yep.
do you want me to do the heel flap for you? So, Violet Waffles hat, exceptionally beautiful. I think we've time for one more.
Yes, my
Yes.
last one.
What is your last one?
Let me pop that away in my little...
Just while you're putting that away,
Such a cute size, this.
I'm going to change it up,
Tooting
people.
my own horn.
I'm going to change it up while you're getting your next project out.
Yes.
I'm going to do what's on your needles.
Right.
Because I'm excited about this what's on your needles. It's from a person who is 300 miles north of the Arctic Circle.
This is amazing.
It's amazing.
That did amazing.
I was utterly stunned. I don't know why, because the world is such a small place now, really, and that's a cool thing. When this lady introduced herself on the Bakery Bears Welcome to the Bakery thread, and she's an Inupiaq.
Oh my lordy. Inupiaq.
She's an
Inupiaq.
Eskimo, or is it Inupiaq?
Inupiaq.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I love the way you intonated that.
Fabulous.
It was beautiful. She's an Eskimo, and she watches the Bakery Bears podcast.
And that's got to be the furthest north.
Well, is it? Please.
Is it? Is there anybody
Tell us.
further north? And what did you say? How many? 300 miles?
She lives in Barrow, in Alaska. She has
I'm going to look it up where it is.
I'm sure she has a young daughter.
Right.
And I'm sure she wants to knit a bakery bear.
Aww.
But we had a bit of a backwards and forwards in the thread. You can go and read it. It's in the Welcome to the Bakery thread. She's called Muriel.
Muriel.
So what's on your needles? Catalogue 907.
Wow.
Muriel, I love, as you'll know, regular watchers, I love, crossing. The other thing that happened to me this week was someone started following me, and I can only assume, because I'm really careful on who I allow to follow me and who I don't. I just make sure that they are knitters. They are knitters, and it's not crazy people who are starting to follow me. And so I always have a look before I accept anyone. And someone else who started following me this week was a lady in Russia. I mean, that's just utterly epic. I love that. But you know what I mean when I say about politics and politicians. So to have someone from Russia, because we're all the same, aren't we? So if you're watching, thank you so much for coming and saying hello. And it would be great to have a knit night with our Russian supporters, wouldn't it? Catalogue 907 Muriel in Barrow, Alaska. Come and show us what's on your needles.
Maybe it's something really big and thick and woolly.
It'll be something cool, I'm absolutely sure. Wouldn't we all love to go and live there for a bit, because we just have an excuse to knit forever.
Yeah.
Because from September through till February it's dark, and
You can't imagine that, can you? I cannot imagine that at all.
and until August it's permanently light.
Yeah. I
When
just
we hit
can't.
our Patreon milestone 2 and we start our website, I so want a globe, and
We will do that.
I
for
want
sure,
people to be able to put pins down whenever they make a bakery bear.
Oh right.
So we can plot, and they can put
Where they all are.
the name of the bakery bear and their birth date and all of that,
Yeah.
and then you'd be able to see all the bakery bears all over the world. That would be amazing. But what else is on your needles? And whilst you're showing what else is on your needles, I thought I'd do my costume change for what else is on your needles?
This is the sock that I mentioned we're doing the tutorial, the DPN tutorial for socks on the Patron group. So this is the sock I started yesterday when we started doing the tutorial. And I went through my stash, and it's a DK weight sock, because I just think for demonstration purposes it's a lot easier with a thicker yarn than showing it on fingering weight. And it goes quicker as well, so you can get through it quicker. You do not want to see what I am looking at the moment, because Dan just has his pants on currently, and I don't mean trousers when I say that. Forgive me for being totally distracted now for a second. Oh my god. I hope somebody knocks at the door now.
Yeah.
I went through my stash, and I remembered I'd bought a couple of balls recently of the West Yorkshire Spinners Blue-Faced Leicester DK because I really wanted to try it. No idea what I had in mind that I was going to knit, and I thought, oh brilliant, I got these two colours because, as you know, these are the colours that I'm currently obsessed by. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit one sock in pink with a purple heel and one sock in purple with a pink heel. I thought that would be cool because not only will it show DPN, you know, the method for knitting on DPNs, it'll also show the contrast heel, which I think is, you know, a really good thing to demonstrate. This yarn is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to go on again about West Yorkshire Spinners, aren't I? But I started knitting with it yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just beautiful yarn. Not expensive. It's 100% BFL, which is my very favourite yarn, I think. It's hand wash only, which I have not got a problem with at all. 122 yards for 50 grams, and it's just so soft and squishy and beautiful. And so yesterday in the tutorial we cast on and we got it going, and my next tutorial is going to be for the heel flap, so I'll do the heel in the purple, which I think will be so pretty. So that's where I'm up to. It's lovely, it's knit up so lovely. This would be so beautiful in a jumper. Gosh, it'd be so nice in a jumper. Makes me want to knit jumpers even though I don't really. Look, that could be the sleeve, couldn't it? Of a jumper. It's so
You finished
nice.
all this?
Well, yeah, I'm still kind of gossiping. So that's the start. So that's what I decided I'm going to do. You didn't know his dress now. You've got the whole suit on. Why did you put the whole suit on?
What is this?
Oh, do you know what he's done?
Said DJ, fits me better than the last time I put this on.
I can't believe that's the same.
And the reason why it fits me better is because of my running regime, baby. Look at it.
Can you hear him?
Look at this.
It's like a scene from Father of the Bride. Do you know when he goes to try on the tuxedo from
What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa,
from like
whoa.
20 years ago? It does totally fit. Why did we even buy that new tux?
What's new, pussycat? Whoa.
I don't know how I even get through the days.
Pussycat,
I really
pussycat,
don't.
where are...
So,
Whoa.
just to finish off quickly while Full there is sitting down, this is the pattern that we're knitting.
I'm so answering the door if anyone comes to the door. Good morning, sir.
You should say I'm the butler. How funny.
Could sir come to the rear entrance from now on, please?
So that's what we'll be knitting, sorry. It's the Incredibly Easy Socks by the lovely Tracy Darby, who is one of our patrons. So, I mean, that's, you know, and you all know I've knit this pattern, I can't think how many times, 7, 8 times, I'm not even sure. So that's what we're knitting.
All hail patrons.
Yes.
Please join me in the all hailing of said patrons. Patrons who have kept the show on the air.
Yes.
And who now have us on the brink, on the precipice of milestone number 1.
Yeah.
Patrons, I am, you're just the best.
Yeah.
And I cannot stress to you how in the balance things were when we started the Patreon campaign. And
yeah,
you have
we were literally a day away from saying we were going to have to start.
Yeah.
Weren't we?
And the fact that you guys have got behind us and have supported us now, and the things that have happened over the last few months, most recently Knittle Forfeit came from patrons. High definition, proper high definition was enabled by the patrons. High definition sound,
Poppers, I haven't made any for a while. I think I will do some more popper bags.
And
actually.
you don't know how it peaks, how the sound peaks whenever you do your popper.
Oh, does it really?
It's like, wow! So high definition sound, so many things. The patrons group is such a great place to be. You guys are the best. And if any of you want to come and join us, please help us get through milestone number 1. We've really gone out on a limb with so many of the things that we've done early. We've invested in, to thank the patrons who've got involved at an early stage. We've done so many of the early the things we promised, when we hit milestone 1, we've done them early. And with that in mind, there's a very big announcement coming later on in the show, and it's very, very exciting. So stick around. So if you want to become a patron, if you want to help keep us here, if you want to help us get to milestone 1, and when we get to milestone 1, what do? We go onto iTunes, baby.
Ah, yes.
Come on. As well as other things, but we'll talk more about that later. Have you finished?
I have.
But I could hear in the inclination in your voice.
Can I go for a wee?
Of course you can. We will now pause. The ice cream lady will now come down the aisles and sell you ice creams.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that when that happened in the cinema? Oh, concessions. Did they call it concessions?
I've gone all James Bond as well with the wing collar this time.
Yeah, it is kind of that is a bit small, darling.
But that's the shirt.
Yeah, the shirt's small.
The shirt is not.
Not
the
here.
suit.
No, the neck is too small. You sat like that,
Yeah,
I'm
terrible.
Like a hobbit or something.
It's bad. Toilet break.
Yes, I'm going.
It's time for the next exciting edition of Knit or Forfeit. Thank you. Welcome to the 3rd episode of Knit or Forfeit. It's getting very exciting here at Knit or Forfeit. I've done 1 round, Kay's done 1 round, and the score is currently 10 to Kay and 9 to me. Now, I'm talking about scores 10 and 9. What does that actually mean? Well, we each have 10 questions, 6 on knitting and knitting related subjects, 2 on Star Wars and 2 on history. There's a change in the rules, and it will now remain this way forever, and that is we have 2 lifelines. We have 1 50-50 and we have 1 Ask the Audience, which is Ask Instagram. Now, we know when the competition begins because we hear this sound.
Your mama!
We know when the competition ends because we hear this sound. And what are we playing for? What are we playing for, contestant?
Oh, hello, I didn't know I was in the shot.
You are now. Can we see what we're playing for?
Oh, yes.
So what are we playing for? Or should I say, what am I playing to win? And what I'm playing to win is this. Look at this. This is...
It's beautiful. It's Anzula Luster, and it was sent to us by the fabulous Benjamin Crudwig.
Oh, hell, Benjamin, who is appearing not in edition 3 of the Baker Bears News, but edition 4 of the Baker Bears News.
Yes.
And we can't wait for that, Benjamin.
I'm thinking I've got to knit a shawl with this when I win.
Really? Enough of your waffle. You can get rid of the prize, thank you very much. So, who is the competitor this week? Let's meet her, shall we? Who are you, and where are you from?
Hello, my name's Kay. And I'm from, well, you see, I would say I'm a Yorkshire girl.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Just don't live there at the moment.
No. Are you ready to play Knit or Forfeit?
I'm ready to play.
And what happens if you lose Knit or Forfeit?
Well, nothing, because that's not going to happen.
What happens is she is going to knit up some wonderful yarn from the sockmatician. He's offered to rip it out.
I'm not knitting with that yarn. Nathan, listen to me now. I'm looking right at you. I am not knitting with that hula yarn.
And if I was to lose, which of course isn't going to happen, I would have to knit the hat which I refuse to name.
Quick flash. Show you later.
Ugh. So, I think it's time to play Knit or Forfeit. Are you ready?
Yes.
Wonderful. Are you ready for your first question? I am the quiz master. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, I've said 5 times.
Question 1.
Your mama!
Are you ready? Are you ready to play knit or forfeit? What do the stitches in Aran knitting represent?
Okay.
Any ideas?
Possibly.
Okay. Is it A, symbols of good luck for fishermen? Is it B, symbols to ward off evil spirits? Is it C, symbols of marriage and the fisherman's life? Or is it D, symbols of the knitter's family tree?
I think I know.
Do you?
I think so.
Are you sure?
I'm not 100%, but I think I've got a good idea.
Have you? You want to be sure?
No, I'm not going to risk my...
Oh, well, you can see the question now.
Well, I don't think it's to ward off evil spirits. I mean, it's not Scooby-Doo, is it, for heaven's sake? Yeah, it's got to be A. Symbols of good luck for the fishermen.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think Aran sweaters were originally knit, you know, in obviously the Aran Isles, and it was fishermen. I think that's right. The other two just seem...
There's another 3 there, though, isn't there?
Sorry, the other 3. I'm going with A.
That's your final answer?
Final answer.
Sure?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's wrong!
What?
It's wrong!
Is it wrong?
Yeah.
What is it?
Symbols of marriage and the fisherman's life.
No.
Yeah?
Oh, well, that's very depressing, isn't it? I'm sad now.
Oh no, it's awful.
I got one wrong.
Yeah, but now we're equal. Isn't you meanie?
I'm not being mean. I got one wrong. Go on, carry on.
I did try and help. Question 2. How is the Fair Isle technique traditionally worked? Is it from right to left? Is it from left to right? Is it in the round? Or is it from top to bottom? Have a look.
Well, it could be a number of those. Well, Fair Isle is... you see, traditional Fair Isle is where there's lots of different colours.
Right.
Because if there's just 2 colours, it's just stranded knitting. Fair Isle is where there's more than 2 colours. So you're always working, when you knit, you're working left to right, aren't you? It's on your left needle and you're working it to your right needle. You could also work it in the round, and you could also work it top to bottom. It's not right to left, because when you knit, you don't knit right to left.
Right.
You knit left to right.
Yeah.
So it's not A, but then it's all 3 of the other ones. It could be all 3 of the other ones. How would they have knit it originally? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I guess they probably wouldn't have worked it top down. They would have worked bottom up, I would have thought. You see, my instinct is telling me in the round, because if you don't knit it, Fair Isle is much easier when you knit in the round because you don't have to purl. I mean, purling when you work Fair Isle is, you know, is much more difficult. You can do it, but it's much more difficult. So maybe it's in the round. I'm going in the round.
It's correct!
That was incredibly tricky.
Good answer.
But that was very tricky.
Sorry.
I need a sip of tea after that.
You need more than a sip of tea.
Look in my Chatsworth mug.
Okay.
Going back soon.
Oh, this is a good question. Are you ready for question 3? Okay, are you ready? Are you playing along at home? I hope so. Which star of the Scream franchise appeared on the cover of Celebrity Scarfs 2, Hollywood Knits for Breast Cancer Research? Is it A?
Are you winding me up?
No. Is it A, David Arquette? Is it B, Skeet Ulrich? Is it C, Liv Schreiber? Or is it D, Matthew Lilliard? Do you have any idea?
No.
This might be a good time to do a...
Well, I don't know that this is going to be a question that a huge amount of people would know. because this is so random. I'll just go 50-50.
Okay. Are you sure? Because you don't. You could use the other one too if you wanted to.
Well, I could, but then I'm only on question 3. This is why I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm
She's going 50-50, people.
Right, so it's either David Arquette or Skeet Ulrich. Well, I'm going to go David Arquette.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
She's correct! Mr. David Arquette is an avid knitter.
Is he?
Yes, he is. He's sat on the front of that magazine, or book I think it is, and he's knitting away. And he knits famously all over the shop. Are you ready for question 4?
No, but go on.
Here we are. Where was the earliest knitted garment found?
Right.
Is it Italy? Is it Palmyra? Is it China? Or is it Egypt?
Well, we've spoke about knitting when we were at Piercebridge, we spoke about knitting. And I think then you might have said that it was the earliest piece of knitting found. And that would make the answer Italy. Let me look. Palmyra, that's where they use Palmyra, don't they, for filming lots of films?
They do.
I can't think where Palmyra is.
Syria,
right. I don't think it's that. China or Egypt, then it would come down to.
It's tense here.
I'm not remembering Egyptians knitting, really. I mean, I don't know that much. I'm drawn to China for some reason.
Remember, you have a lifeline.
I know I do, but... Well, let's do an Instagram then.
Whoa! She's pushed the button, people.
I'm very much struggling with these questions. I feel like an imbecile.
You have to remember, Kay, you have to play the tactics with the Instagram because you only have up until question 10 to get a response.
Oh, right.
So Kay has used her last lifeline. She has asked Instagram and she now has up until question 10 to check the responses and then pick an answer for question 4. What I like about this though is you can see how much we both want to win.
I know, and this is why I'm mad now. I'm telling you, I'm going to spend the next 2 weeks finding the most tricky, obscure questions I possibly can.
But so far, you've only got one wrong.
One too many. Carry on.
Okay, are you ready for question 5? It's exciting, isn't it? You can cut the atmosphere in this room with a knife.
I'm now at
with
panic
a DPN.
mode. I'm going to need a calms tablet, I think.
Okay. Why was the English method, throwing, of knitting developed when the continental method already existed? Is it was considered more efficient for Elizabethan ladies? Is it was considered more attractive for Victorian ladies? Is it was considered uncouth to copy anything continental? Is it was developed by knitters unaware of the continental method?
Well, it's not for... I have a feeling I've read something about this. It's definitely not... It's not C, I'm sure.
So you ruled out C and D?
I think so. I think it's either... I think it's the more attractive thing. More efficient. I don't know, the Elizabethan. I mean, did they knit much in the Elizabethan time? I suppose they will have. Why would they think it was more efficient though? I don't know that it's more attractive though to look at. I'm not getting any clues from you. You normally sometimes maybe indicate a clue. Right, well I'm just going to have to go with my gut, which I think is going to be wrong. I can see I'm going to be getting like 3 out of 10 this round. I'll say it's considered more attractive for Victorian ladies. B.
What did you say at home? Did you go with B? Or did you maybe pick one of the ones that Kay discarded? C or D? Kay's right!
Oh.
Yes! Come on! So you now have, oh no, that one's, so you had 2 out of 10, you now have 3 out of 10, and we're waiting on a response for the other one.
Gosh.
So yes, it was, the Victorians considered the continental method to look decidedly common.
Yeah, I've
so,
read this, that's what I'd got in my head. I'd read
Yeah.
something at some point.
So even though the throwing method is less efficient,
Yes, it is.
they adopted the throwing method so that they would look pretty when they were sat in their drawing rooms
Yeah,
after
I'm
they'd
sure
had their
that.
dinners.
Yeah, I have read that.
So we all sit looking pretty.
We do all sit looking pretty, don't
Well
we?
done, Kay.
No.
Super impressed. Okay, next question. Ah, this is a good one.
Right.
She
But
should-
when you say good, do you mean easy? Because really...
You should be able to knock this one off. Just listen to the question,
Right.
okay? Which English earl, famous for leading the charge of the Light Brigade, had a woolen garment named after him?
Right.
Was it the Earl of Arran? Was it the Earl of Wellington? Was it the Earl of Raglan? Or was it the Earl of Cardigan?
Well, right. I don't actually know who led the charge of the Light Brigade off the top of my head. But it can't...
I didn't know off the bottom of my head.
No, it can't be the Earl of Arran. The Arran Isles is far north of Scotland. He wouldn't lead the charge of the Light Brigade. Although I don't know... Yes, which English Earl? The Arran Islands are in Scotland, so that can't be right. The Earl of Wellington, now he had a Wellington boot named after him, so I can't imagine he's going to have a woolen garment. I've never heard of the Earl of Cardigan, and Cardigan anyway is in Wales, is it not? Cardigan Bay? Famous for leading, has a woolen garment named after him. Well, in that case then it'd be Cardigan, wouldn't it? Because that is a woolen garment.
Is that your final answer? Is it your final answer?
Final answer, Cardigan.
Okay,
Earl of Cardigan.
so the question was, which English earl famous for leading the charge of the Light Brigade had a woolen garment named after him? Kay has no lifelines left after much
Why did you think this one was easy?
procrastinating. She's gone with D, the Earl of Cardigan, and she's correct!
But Cardigan's in Wales.
It is an English earl. There's an Earl of Cardigan.
Right.
So, congratulations. And Raglan Castle's in Wales.
Oh, right, well I knew that.
Yeah.
These are not meant to be history questions.
Oh, no, they're not. Sorry. But you were correct. So you now have 4 out of 10. Yay! She's doing well, people. And these questions are tricky. We're tied, which is great. We're now on to Star Wars questions.
Right.
Okay, so here we are. You ready for question 7? What is the name of the first Rebel Alliance ship seen in Star Wars A New Hope, which is my dream Lego set and is owned by Sarah Hepworth's husband, Rick?
Right.
What are you saying now? I don't know what that means when you go
Well,
right
I'm
like
hoping
that.
I know this when I see the answers.
Okay, so the first question is Tantive 8. The second question, the first answer, I'm getting all stressed now. This is so tense. So is it Tantive 8? Is it Tidarium? Is it Tantive 4? Is it T16 Skyhopper?
Tantive 4.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
It's tense here. I know there's certain people looking at the screen, screaming and shouting, going, yay! And they're going, yay, because she's right! Yes!
Why is it I can reel off a Star Wars answer like that?
Impressive! That is impressive!
I remember these things for future gifts.
But that is so impressive. There's a lot of Star Wars people who would not have a clue about that. Well done. Okay. Oh, this is a good one.
Right.
Okay. Question 8. Which Cheers actor appeared as a Rebel Alliance officer on Hoth in Star Wars Empire Strikes Back? Is it A, Kelsey Grammer? Is it B, Ted Danson? Is it C, Woody Harrelson? Is it D, John Ratzenberger?
I think it's John Ratzenberger. John Ratzenberger. Final answer.
Sure.
I think so.
She's right! Yes! Come on! How did you know that? How impressive is that? Look out for this one if you've not noticed. John Ratzenberger, who
You probably said at some point.
the guy with a moustache, wasn't he?
Yeah.
There was the big guy in Cheers with the curly hair. It wasn't him. It was his mate.
Yeah, I
He
know
used
who
to sit
John
with him.
Ratzenberger
I'm
is.
telling them.
Oh, right.
Question 9.
Oh, thank goodness, we're nearly at the end.
Which mile castle on Hadrian's Wall?
Oh,
This is called Revenge. Which mile castle on Hadrian's Wall was unintentionally destroyed by Dutch bankers on a team building trip in 2003?
you told me about this. Right, okay.
Is it Mile Castle 36? Is it Mile Castle 38?
No.
Is it Mile Castle 39? Is it Mile Castle 40?
The one that's at Housestead is 37.
Yes.
Right? So it can't be 36. It's certainly not 40. So Mountcastle 37 is the one that we went to on the first night we were there. We walked up the hill, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, it has to be 38. I don't think that wasn't 2 miles, because we walked fully 2 miles to Sycamore Gap, and that is about halfway. Therefore, it's got to be 38.
There, your final answer.
Final answer.
She's right! Yes! Well done. Well worked out. It's true. Some Dutch bankers went on a pre-organised trip, and they went and they did what team building people do. They probably had to build some sort of structure because they all ended up piling on top of this mile castle, and the mile castle collapsed. We actually walked around the site of where that mile castle is now, rather than try and rebuild it, which is not how they do archaeology anymore. They just covered it over, and it's now, it's secure what's left of it, and no one is allowed near that mile castle anymore. 39 is the mile castle directly after Sycamore Gap. Question 10. Ooh, now then.
Oh gosh.
Okay, here we go. How did Hadrian's true love, Greek courtier Antinous, die? Did he drown in the Nile?
I believe
Did he fall tragically from the Palatine Hill? Was he fatally hit by a chariot? Did he have a fatal reaction to eating fish sauce known as garum?
I think he was in the Nile. I've read this very recently. I can't think where. We must have been somewhere. I think he drowned in the Nile. Final answer.
You sure?
Yeah.
It's very tense, this. She's right though! Yes! Well done! Hadrian, big butch bearded Hadrian, who was married, fell in love with a rather stunningly handsome male courtier known as, it's a hard name to say, Antinous. And I mean, he was, how are you doing?
Well, so far everybody said the same thing.
Okay, hold on then. And he was famously, absolutely a gorgeous guy, and they fell in love and they started a really tempestuous affair. He travelled everywhere with him. Hadrian was the most travelled emperor, as we discussed on the last podcast, and he died in the Nile. Now, I think it's unbelievably coincidental that he just died in the Nile. I don't think he drowned at all.
Oh.
I think he was held down.
Do you?
I do.
By who?
By someone who thought it was not right that an emperor should be in love
Gosh, that's terrible, isn't
with a
it?
male Greek courtier.
He was really young though as well, wasn't he?
He was really, really young. So it's really tragic, but also very interesting. And famously, Hadrian went into, it was written by a number of different people that he cried like a lady on hearing of the death of his true love, Antinous.
Okay,
and we are now returning.
I've had 10 replies.
Wowzers.
Including lovely Zena.
Princess of Power!
Yay! Who's now married. Oh, did you see the pictures of Zena's beautiful wedding in a dress? If you don't follow Zena on Instagram, she's Little Yellow Uke, all one word. go and have a look, because she posted a couple of pictures of her wedding dress, and it was so beautiful. She looked so beautiful. It was just, when I had an image in my head of what dress she would wear, that's what I thought, Zena. I just had a feeling it would be that kind of 3/4 length. Beautiful. She looked absolutely beautiful. So the consensus is 100% Egypt.
Okay, is that your final answer?
Well, it's got to be. I'd be a fool not to go Egypt, wouldn't I?
Okay, so we have how many people there?
11.
11 people who've all given their opinion. They've all agreed it was Egypt.
So if it's wrong, I'm coming after you all.
Well, you all need to prepare yourselves, because Kay won't be coming after you because she's right.
Just worried then for a minute. Let me tell everybody.
So, on completion of this round of Knit or Forfeit, it's the third stage of our first game of Knit or Forfeit. There's one more stage to go. And what are the scores on the doors? Well, as you can see, we are tied. So, what that means, next week...
You can see I'm going to grumble about that now for 2 weeks, can't you?
Next week, I have to get every question right just to take it to a tiebreak.
Right.
A tiebreaker question.
And maybe it's the first person to get one wrong loses.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
How tense is this?
Oh, that was so tricky.
I'm sorry, but come on.
We'll be having words later.
Hey, we said earlier that...
They were so hard. The history and the Star Wars questions were easier for me than the knitting questions.
But those Star Wars questions were tricky.
Oh, I thought they were alright.
They were tricky.
Oh.
Tantive 4, just to pluck that out.
4.
When there was a Tantive 8 in there as well.
I know, but as soon as he said the question, I had Tantive 4 in my head.
Impressive stuff.
And that's why he married me.
It is. It's exactly the reason why I married you. Well, folks, that's the end of the third episode of Knit or Forfeit.
Have we done the end noise?
We have now. Did you enjoy that? I hope so. We'll be back next episode for the exciting conclusion.
Oh, I'm exhausted.
Of round one of... I can't even speak.
I need to lie down.
For the exciting conclusion of Knit or Forfeit, the very first round of Knit or Forfeit. And what will happen after this first round of Knit or Forfeit, you'll have to wait and see. But it's
I might
going
have to
to
wear
be
a dress.
Exciting. Or for the grand final.
Well, I've only possessed 2 dresses, I think.
For the grand final,
I don't even know if I can get into them anymore, would be the question.
So folks, I'll leave you with this thought. Are you ready to knit or forfeit? That was too much. It's too much. I can't cope.
I'll just have to have a power nap.
Well, it's very exciting now. One question wrong next episode, and that's it. I'm knitting the hat, which can never be named. If I get all the questions right, it goes to a tie-break, people.
Oh my goodness.
And the tie-break will be the first one wrong.
Yeah, we'll just have a list of questions, and the first person to get one wrong is the loser.
How exciting! I can't wait, but that's for next week. Big announcement.
Big announcement?
Yes.
Okay.
We are within touching distance of Patreon milestone number 1. So Kay and I have been, since coming back from holiday, we've been having just a bit of an analyse and a bit of a chat of things with regards to patron stuff. So patrons, you might have been wondering where Podcast 101 and also the historical context piece that we've been doing has been. We have been in deep discussion and planning on how we're going to move forward, and we have decided something. As a thank you to all of our amazing patrons, we are that far away from milestone number 1, and we promised you something big at that milestone. That milestone was that we would launch effectively a brand new show, a podcast for patrons. Well, we're going to launch it. We've not hit milestone number 1. We're taking a huge gamble because it's going to be a load more of our time, and obviously, as we spoke at the very start, we We have to eat. But you guys have supported us in such an amazing way and enabled us to get to where we've got to now with things. To give back a huge thing to you is desperately what we want to do. So in September, the very first patron only podcast. What a great name that is.
Yeah.
Pop.
That's totally what we've got to call it. It's a pop.
Pop. Episode 1 will be coming to a screen near you in September.
What a great name.
There you
Because
go.
you always take the mickey out of me for saying pop. Does anyone know what if I said
What
to you,
pop?
if I said
That's
to
it,
you,
Bubble Pop.
do you want a glass of pop? Would anybody know what I was on about?
Not a clue.
Did you not know first time?
Yes,
I
of course
said
I
it?
knew.
Oh, I'm going to say it. But everybody in the UK, I think, would know what I'm on about when I say a glass of pop.
Yeah, I'm not 5 though anymore.
But I still call it pop, even though
That's
I don't drink pop anymore. I've stopped drinking it. I mean, fizzy drink, a carbonated fizzy drink, like
Soft.
a soft drink.
Yes. So Pop.
Oh, I love it.
September sees the launch of Pop. And in Pop, we will be doing a few cool things. We're still nailing down. It's going to be a whole new show. We're still nailing down. Obviously, with the flavour of.
Yes. Well, they'll obviously be knitting, and and I'm going to have I'm going to have special projects just for
Correct.
us poppers.
Yes. Poppers.
I know.
Poppers.
I know. It's got so many relevances.
We will also, on that podcast, every month we do a...
we can be known as poppers. Sorry, I'm getting a little carried away.
We will do, on that podcast, we will do our $10 plus patron only draw. We'll do it live.
Right.
How exciting.
Yes.
You can also show your patron only bags for the month, and we can talk about those.
Yes.
And there'll be lots of other cool, exciting little things that we're still nailing down on.
We're working on some new sort of merchandise, aren't we?
Yes.
So we'll talk about that probably on
Yes.
there.
So yeah, September will be the first episode, so get excited.
It's been such fun, actually. You know, the Facebook group. I have a personal Facebook page. Such fun. But I don't go on Facebook any longer. So I've had a few people who have requested to be my friend on Facebook, and if I haven't accepted you, it's only because I never post on there. I can't. It's years since I posted on my personal Facebook page. But the Facebook group that we've got going is just fantastic, isn't it?
It is. It's really cool.
It's not only knitting things that people share. There's all sorts of interesting things.
It is. It's super cool.
Yeah.
And also as well, all the video content on there gets put on private YouTube playlists as well. So if you don't do Facebook, you can still get access to all the additional content that we create. And then, of course, hopefully, what we really hope is that by doing this podcast, that inspires a few more people to get involved and support us with regards to our Patreon campaign. And that means then we can smash milestone number 1, get the main show on iTunes, but then milestone 2, that's when it gets super exciting. And milestone 2 is actually not much further on from milestone number 1.
Right.
And milestone 2 sees a website launch and all sorts of other cool things.
Yeah, I can't wait for that personally.
Yeah. We're planning that big stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
So thank patrons, all hail, and thank you so much. And
Thank you.
new podcast coming your way in September.
Yep.
And please, everyone, come and watch it too. But now I want to know what's off your needles.
I do have something this time.
For once, she's actually finished a project.
I think last time was probably the only time I've not
We
had.
don't count that.
No, get off, don't. He was going to throw it on the floor. So the first thing is my lovely Ricky hat. Yay!
Oh, it's lovely. Oh, I'd love to knit one.
I'm going to pop it on.
Is that a seam at the back?
Lovely, that's a good look.
Yeah. do you see how you look now? That's how you look to me whenever you wear a Ricky hat.
I think I could start a new craze.
Is that seamed at the back?
No, it's just where there's a jog. Dan hates it. I think it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
The reason I like these hats so much is because it's really squishy.
I like the decrease.
And it covers my ears. It's not too slouchy, look. No. I really like it, and it's really comfortable. I'm totally going to wear that. I don't care what he says.
Great. Enjoy.
So that's my first finished object, and I knit it to, in case anybody's interested, I knit it to 7 inches.
Is that a painful pattern?
No, it's free.
Oh, right, okay.
It's a free pattern. You just whispered, is that a paid for pattern? I knit it to 7 inches before I start. You can see the decreases there. And that's why I'm going to knit this one to 7 inches, because I liked the amount of... I don't think this one will look... It will look different to this one because, you know, this garter stitch is a heavy weight.
And that's a nice design.
Yeah, and I think you'll like that one on. So this was the John Arbon DK that I knit it in, and I do have... I think I probably used about 2/3 of the ball, and I've obviously got another skein left. So I'm going to make matching mittens at some point for that, because I won't wear this until... When do I start wearing sort of thicker hats? Maybe October time, something. It depends on the weather, doesn't it? But yeah, so that's that, and I really enjoyed knitting it, and I think you will enjoy knitting it. It's just knits and pearls. It's lovely. So that's my first one. And then my second finished object is a pair of socks.
Yay!
Yay! Look what I finished. He's interested now. I've said socks. Da, da, da. I finished my fondant fibre.
Oh, lovely.
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 It's on the spangle base.
How do they smell?
So this beautiful yarn, as I was saying, is the fondant fibre spangle base. It's got gold stellina in it. I don't know whether you can see the gold sparkles if I kind of turn them. And it's the vintage tulle. So it's the pattern that I kind of just made up myself. It's the basic pattern is the Hermione's Everyday. I just put in a slip stitch heel instead of the Eye of Partridge. And
what did I call it?
It wasn't partridge, it was something else, wasn't it? I don't know. And then I just inserted my own textured pattern, which I've said before. So yeah, they're finished, and you know, like I said, I came home and I don't think I'd even knit the heel flap on these. I think I'd just got to I think I was kind of here. From memory, I can't quite remember now. But got home and just, you know, blasted through them and had them finished in 2 or 3 days at the most. So I love those. So they're all ready to wear.
Yes.
Beautiful,
They
beautiful.
are beautiful.
And I've got quite...
Do you know what? You're getting really good at knitting.
Why, thank you. I wouldn't consider myself a really good knitter.
You've really come on.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, a year ago, some of the projects were just...
Terrible, I know. What was I going to say? I've got quite a lot of the yarn left. Not half a skein, but maybe I'll have to weigh it. I bet there's 1/3 of the skein left. So, I mean, there's not enough to knit like a full hat, but what I was thinking was, if I was to knit like a, you know, a fingering weight hat like this again, I'm sure there'd be enough to knit the main body of the hat with it, and then I could just use a contrast for the rib, because I think that would be lovely. Or there might be enough to knit some little mittens. There might be. I'll have to weigh it. I'm definitely going to use it though, just because it's such a beautiful yarn. So that's those. So that's my 2 finished objects. Not bad.
That's very good. Was that it?
Right. Okay.
It's time for me to ask someone what's off their needles.
Cool.
Oh, crumbs. And I think this is someone... I was excited about this person.
Ooh.
Not that I'm not always excited. Oh, yes. I know why. So, what's off your needles? This person is from the Chicago area. And that excites me because I love National Lampoons, as you all know. I'm also very excited about the new National Lampoons movie. Although the reviews are medium. But
Really?
I think they're always medium about films like that. I think you either get them or you don't.
It
But
looks funny.
it looks great. Apart from Beverly D'Angelo, who's had an awful lot of work done.
Oh, I didn't recognise her.
Oh, she was a beautiful woman when she was younger as well. She should
Why
have
do
just
people
grown old
why
gracefully.
do people do that? Do
Grow
you
old
know?
gracefully, people.
You know, why do... And you said Meg Ryan looks weird these days.
I think
as well.
they feel pressured by Hollywood. I think
Sure they
male
do.
Hollywood
I'm
executives
sure they do.
make them feel pressured to do these things.
I wish people didn't do it though. There's some very odd looking people around
Well,
these days.
men perhaps need to change, sat in the offices of Pinewood and
Yeah.
Because hopefully that's the reason why. That certainly seems obvious to me that that's probably the reason why. But Sandy's from Chicago. I so want to go to Chicago.
Ah,
I'd love to go to Chicago because it's on a lake.
It's
isn't
on a
it?
lake. Is it Lake Michigan? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
But also the music scene is really cool. And but who is this person? She met Josh Rikes at Stitches West.
Did she?
Yes. She says we have an infectious joy.
Do we?
We do. I hope that's correct. And her name is Angel Mum 3.
Aww.
And she's called Sandy. And I have a feeling Sandy won't see this episode for quite a while.
Why?
Because she's only just started watching and she's up to episode 6.
She's catching up, right?
Yes.
Gosh, it will take her a while then.
So it'll probably be a while before she sees this. But how cool is that though, Sandy? Because it's an even bigger surprise then. So Sandy, let us know actually if you see this earlier than we think, than like 3 months down the road. But please come and show us what is off your needles. And it's been a privilege for me to give you a smile every time I've worn my Blackhawks shirt. And I wanted to wear my Blackhawks champion shirt,
gosh,
but someone amazing sent to me.
Yes, I haven't washed
For an early birthday present.
I haven't washed it yet.
Thank you so much. I love that shirt. It's just the business. So thank you for everything that you sent. The little key for Bryony and the little shoes for Kay. But my shirt was just the business. So I shall be wearing it.
That reminds me, actually, I must say a thank you to everybody that sends us parcels. I do send personal thank yous to everybody that sends something, but I don't tend to kind of thank people individually on the podcast because I know some people are sensitive to that and don't want to have that attention brought to them. But I will just send out a global thank you to everybody that sends us parcels. It's so lovely and we love receiving them, don't we? And it makes my day when something drops through their box and, we don't expect these things. So.
No. So that was totally unexpected and it was a lovely birthday present and I shall be wearing it next episode.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Angel Mum, come show us. But now it's time for what's on your bookshelf.
Oh,
it gets me every time because I want to say off. And should it be off? No, what's on your bookshelf? It's on my bookshelf because I'm reading. No, but it's off your bookshelf because you. Oh, I don't know.
What's on and off? You should be saying then.
How's things been going with the crazy socks have feelings lady?
I was worried actually after the last episode. I said, "Oh gosh, I really hope I've not offended anybody," because I'm so sensitive to that. I don't want to upset anybody by something that I say, or it's just my personal opinion, and I still haven't quite finished Marie Kondo's book. I'm quite a way in now. I've maybe got a third left. And
is it an enjoyable read? Do you want to read more?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Well, that's good then.
I do.
So you want to pick it up and get reading?
Yeah, I wanted to finish it actually for this time because I really wanted to say, this is what I think of it after reading it all. But I just haven't had a chance to. It's not the sort of book I want to read when I'm in bed at night because I'm so kind of falling asleep at that point. I don't really absorb what she's saying properly. And I've not had time just through the day just to sit and read a bit. But I've got to the point where oh, right. And admittedly, I am sort of struggling with this a little bit. She says you should designate a place for each thing, and I totally get that because that's why once you've done all this you won't ever have to tidy again because everything has its place, which I think that is how a house should be. Everything should have its place and I would love to get to that stage. But what she's saying is, again, it's kind of, she likes to thank her shoes for the hard work and she empties her handbag every day when she gets home and puts everything away and puts her purse in one place and empties everything out. I can't quite get my head around that because the only thing I can think is maybe she uses a different handbag each day and that saves transferring stuff, but it just wouldn't work for me, that. And I don't think, I don't necessarily think that all of this book is for everybody. I do, in a way, I'm just taking bits out of it that I feel will be helpful to me. But what I did do is I went through all my fabric stash the other day. I put a picture on Instagram. And what she says to do with your books and your clothes and everything is when you're dealing with that category, is just to get every piece of whatever it is, books or whatever, out and put it on the floor and go through things one by one. And that's exactly what I did with my fabric stash. Previously, my fabric was in...
It was like a eureka moment for you.
Well...
It was.
I've been having issues for ages with my fabric because I think a lot of people store fabric like this. You just stack it up like this. And it was in those cubes, you know, the IKEA cubes. But inevitably what happens is, you know, you take a fabric out and you cut a piece off it or whatever and then you put it back. But, it gets put back, you know, on the top and there's something else that'll cover it. You can't see what you've got. So I thought, right, I'm going to do this. So I got everything out and really it was a mountain. Bryony loved it. She's like, oh, what are you doing? Can I help? And she loved it. And I did go through every piece of fabric that I'd got. And it's just amazing actually what I'd got that I couldn't even remember I'd got. So now I've sorted it all into like little boxes. So in one box I've got everything for smaller projects. All the really big pieces I've got in a separate bit, and then like medium-sized pieces that are for like, you know, middle-sized bags are in another place. And the way that I've folded them is how she says to like fold all your clothes and all your socks. What she says to do, for example, with socks, is they should be folded. You fold them in half and then you fold them again. And then you sit them on end. So I don't know whether it would be like that or like that. I guess I'm not sure. That way I would think. And then stack them all like this. And then that way you can see at a glance all of your socks instead of them being one on top of the other and you don't know what you've got. And she said to do the same thing with t-shirts, jumpers, you know, anything like that that you would normally fold and put in a drawer or on a shelf. That's what she says to do. So that's what I did with all my fabric pieces. If you just imagine an oblong, you know, of fabric, I just folded it until I got a piece, you know, that was long and not too high so that it could all stack. And I did that, and my goodness, it's just fantastic.
Exciting.
Yeah. So for things like that, it's been brilliant, and I will follow that through with, you know, with other things. So I've found it incredibly useful book.
Cool.
But I just think take from it what you need to take from it.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's on my bookshelf? Well, I'll tell you.
Cool.
It's this. This is Rubicon, the Triumph and Tragedy of the Roman Republic. And what this does is it picks up about how the Roman Republic was formed. And this is a long time ago. This is around about the time of Julius Caesar. What am I saying? That's when it fell. When it was founded, when it started, it was around about 500 BC. So Tarquin was the last Roman king, and then they got rid of him and they started a proper elected government. Which it was unbelievable when you consider that we still use that same approach to government even now, and the links that it picks up on between, when you consider what we've been doing on our last couple of favourite places to knit, we've been looking at Rome and talking about the links, and specifically on this one with Vindolanda and the writing tablets. This just picks up and shows you even more how the similarities are absolutely clear, but also as well there's certain things about their life that was completely different to ours, but you have to change your mindset, a bit like Kay's book. When you're reading it, you know, to approach it, you have to adopt a different mindset, and the Romans would have lived in exactly the same way, a different mindset to us, but with lots and lots of similarities. And what I love about this book is it's written in real sort of rip-roaring fashion. So it jumps off the page at you when you want to read it. So I've literally only just started this. Rubicon, Tom Holland. He's written some other books as well, all of which I'm told are really good. Stark contrast to this book, which I've been reading a little while now, and it's a slog. There are interesting things in it, as I spoke about last time, but it does not jump off the page. The writer is going into way too much detail. If you're one of those types of people who want like tons and tons and tons of information and detail, then you're going to love this. But that makes it a slog and hard to get through. So I don't want to read it. And, you know, I'm so tempted. I'm halfway through the book and I'm so tempted to stop. But I just don't do that. So I will try and keep going with it if I can. And it should be, you know, really exciting. An armed uprising, a battle, a ravaged community, a conspiracy, an assassination, a hanging. I mean, that sounds like a thriller. It's not written that way.
Right.
So, Rubicon, partway in, and it's just jumping off the page at me, and it's extremely exciting and interesting. This, you've got to be a bit of a history buff to want to get through this one. So, it's time for me to ask someone what is on their bookshelf. And I'm going to ask, she's like, oh, who is it? I'm going to ask someone who introduced herself recently on the forum, on the Ravelry forum, and she was so sweet. She was like, oh, you know, hope my English is okay, and I really wanted to come and say hi. And her English was absolutely brilliant. It's Kirsten. It's Kessie B78. It's Kirsten from Germany. What is on your bookshelf? She has a 6-year-old daughter who's absolutely in love with the Bakery Bears. And she thinks our podcast is beautiful.
Aww.
Well, you may be, but certainly not over here with his cracking neck. And
oh, your neck's driving me absolutely bananas.
Drives me bananas as well. But Kirsten from Germany, I couldn't even pronounce where she's from in Germany. It's quite long.
Gosh, yeah.
But I just love that. I love that. So we've got Eskimos, and we've got Russians, and we've got people from Chicago, and we've got guys from Germany. It's great. Global. That's what I like.
Global. Love it.
It's Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Oh no. Kay was telling me that people shout at the screen when we say Endy Bits because it means it's coming towards the end. I'm so sorry.
I wanted to just mention the 2 knit-alongs we've got going. The favourite colour knit-along for the patrons, and the Brit-along for everybody. Now, these were scheduled to finish on the 21st, which is this Friday, which is the day that this podcast will come out. Now, I didn't want to wait 2 weeks to then announce the winners, because I really want to do it on the podcast rather than just, you know, put a notice out on Ravelry or something. I wanted to sort of just say who the winners were on the podcast. So I think what we'll do, if it's okay with everybody, is we'll extend it till the end of August. So it will now, both of those knit-alongs will now finish on the 31st of August. And then the next podcast comes out on, I think it's the 4th of September. So that then will give us time to draw the names, and then we'll announce the winners on the next podcast. So I hope that's all right with everybody. I went through the prizes recently to see just what we got, because they've been kind of piling up by the past few weeks. And we've actually got 11 prizes altogether for the 2 knit-alongs. So I will split them 6 for the Brit-along and 5 for the patrons knit-along, because there's more entries on the Brit-along than on the patrons only. So I hope that's okay. I've shown you sort of prices as they've come in, and I'll show you the prices properly when we announce the winners, because I can show you what each person's won.
Yeah,
but we've had 2 things in recently that I just had to show you. And the first one, my goodness, this yarn. I was so thrilled. I got a message from Lorraine. Now, Lorraine is cottagecraftangora.com.
And she'd be a patron.
Yes. And she dyes and supplies Kiviot yarn. She's in Canada, but she's actually a Brit. She's kind of lived in our neck of the woods as well. Sorry, I can talk to you, Lorraine, because I'm sure you'll watch at some point. She sent some yarn for the knit-along for a giveaway, and oh my goodness, I've long since yearned to even just feel Kiviot yarn. It comes from a musk ox, just in case you didn't know what Kiviot yarn is. There's one. I'll show you a little picture of a lovely. Aren't they sweet? Look at them, aren't they lovely? So that's where Kiviot yarn comes from, and I think Lorraine will tell me, but I think it's like the underdown. Is that right? And it's 8 times warmer than sheep wool, but it's incredibly light. And I cannot tell you how soft this yarn is. She sent 2 skeins of, I think it's a lace weight. It looks like a lace weight. It's a 2-ply. And looking at the tension, I'm sure it's a lace weight. So she sent 2 skeins of this, and it's like a beautiful indigo colour, I would say. So I'll hold it up. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? And oh my goodness. Words fail me on the softness of this yarn. Whoever wins this yarn, good heavens. I mean, it's just...
Soft.
It's absolutely beautiful yarn. Oh, so that's the first one. Lorraine, thank you so much for sending that. I said to Lorraine, I'm going to sleep with it under my pillow until I have to give it away. Oh, it's just so fabulous. So that's that one. And then I got another one recently from a lovely viewer. This is another epic gift, and it's from Dawn. Now Dawn is Danger Mouse on Ravelry, and how she got that Ravatar, I don't know, but it's just, I mean, Danger Mouse, everybody loves a bit of Danger Mouse, and she wanted to send some yarn for a prize. I never expected her to send so much. She sent 4 skeins of, this is Mirasol Miski, Miski, and it's 100% baby llama. And does it say what the yardage is? Yeah, we've got 82 yards per skein, so 8, 16, 24, 32. We've got about what, 328 yards? I think that's right. And look, oh my goodness, so 100% baby llama, and it's a beautiful sort of pale mossy green. Would that be right? Look at that. And again, I don't know that I've ever felt llama. Oh, and it's lovely. It's kind of similar to alpaca, I would say, but I think it's softer than alpaca. It's beautiful. So Dawn, thank you so much. So one lucky winner will get that glorious bundle.
Hoard.
And I've got all the other prizes are down here, which are things I've shown you historically.
So they'll see those when we do the...
So you will see all those again when we announce the winners in the next podcast. So it's now running until the 31st of August. I will close it. I'll probably close it the morning of the 1st of September just to allow for time differences.
I must say Cody is doing an amazing knit along.
Severe yarn down.
Cody's doing the coolest knit along ever
He
on
is.
his podcast. He's doing a bakery bear knit along. So if you're about to knit a bakery bear, you might as well go along, watch Cody and join in with his cool knit along.
He is.
And we're actually going to be making for the duration of his knit along. So from the 1st of September until the 1st of October, we will be making the first bakery bear finishing tutorial that you did about making bakery bears free to access. So number 1 will be free to access, and that will go live for the duration of his knit along.
And the podcast is Cody Knits, the Cody Knits, CODI Knits podcast. I'm going to sew him up a bag. I've got it cut out, Cody. I just need to get it sewn up and sent to you, so I will do that.
So it's worth entering. I'm sure there'll be loads of good prizes, but we know one of them will be a nice prize because you'll be making it.
So, I've got a couple gift and a few purchases, so I just thought I'd whiz through these. When Benjamin sent us the Anzuli yarn, he also sent some handspun.
Nice.
As you know, we love a bit of handspun. We've got some, how do you say that? Cheviot. We've got some Cheviot. Everybody's shouting at me, don't say it like that. And the colourway Golden Fields.
Nice.
Beautiful. Like a fabulous hat. And then some merino handspun 2-ply in the black pearl. That makes me think of...
Well, that'll be the reason why.
Oh.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, thank you. In like very lovely manly colours. So
It's a bit like those socks you'll be knitting when you lose
Hush,
knit or forfeit.
that won't be happening.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Socratician.
No, I'm
All
not
hail
speaking
you.
to. No, I'm not speaking to Nathan. And then when lovely Susie Gawley sent you the Kessel run, she sent another skein as well. But no, this one from Susie Gawley, Knit Natural, is called What's on Your Needles. How cool is that? Now, bizarrely, I've been hankering after some Falkland. And the reason I had is because recently I've been watching a programme which has been about the Falkland Islands, and it's just about people's lives that live on the Falkland Islands. I think it's called Island Parish. Is it Irish Island?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. And I was just fascinated because, you know, we all know there's tons and tons of sheep on the Falkland Islands, and from what I can gather, Falkland isn't a breed of sheep. It's called Falkland because it comes from the Falkland Islands. I think a lot of them are kind of a mix of breeds. I hope I'm right on this, but you know, please correct me if I'm not. So it feels merino-y, but it feels like there's something else in there as well, and that could be if there is a mix. But this is Falkland, and it's just beautiful. It's exactly, you know, the sort of colours I love, and again, it's just beautifully spun.
Sorry, dude.
It's gorgeous. So thank you, Susie, for that. And then what I've just said about the Falkland thing, I've had my eye on this yarn for a while, and it goes with our whole wanting to support British yarn dyers. And I've been aware of this company for a while, and really wanted to try some of their yarns, Blacker Yarns. It's based in Cornwall. And I thought, right, I'm going to order some, and I ordered 3 skeins of Falkland Islands wool, and it's 4-ply, and the colourway is gorse, G-O-R-S-E, which is the plant, you know, the shrub thing that you see growing everywhere in the, is it autumn you get gorse? I think it is, isn't it? And it's merino, spun with a bit of Shetland as well. So I got 3 skeins of 4-ply, and each skein is 190 yards, so I thought that would make a fabulous shawl. And it says 4-ply, but I think our 4-ply, and like a sock yarn, I think sock yarn is thinner than a true 4-ply. And this to me looks more like a sport. But I got 3 skeins of this lovely colour. The reason I got this colour is because of Chatsworth and the whole me wanting to design something related to Chatsworth, so I thought if I get the yarn it might inspire me. It's beautifully soft, and I think it will be gorgeous to knit with. Very light, it's lovely. So that's those. Then when we were in York the other day, I went into a couple of yarn shops. One of them was Ramshambles, which is a lovely shop, and a lot of people know Ramshambles. There's the card. It's on the corner of the Shambles, isn't it?
Jolie was in there the day before.
She was, or 2 days before or something. Yeah. Missed you by a couple of days, Jolie. And I got in there this
Happy birthday, by the way.
Yes. Oh yeah, it was birthday the other day.
And happy birthday too to Renee Wine, whose
Renee
birthday
Wine,
it actually is today.
Oh.
But of course, this will come out on Friday. So your birthday was 2 days ago, so happy birthday, Renee.
Happy birthday. And I saw this one and I thought, oh, I quite fancy giving that a try. It's Debbie Bliss Fine Donegal. It's merino wool and cashmere, 95% wool, 5% cashmere. There's 415 yards in a skein, so it's like a fingering weight. And I thought, oh, that would be interesting again to knit maybe a shawl, a future shawl pattern with. You can see the colours. I've gone for this, you know, pinky, mauvey, and it's got little flecks of different colours in. And I like the slightly sort of thick and thin nature of it. I think it will make a really interesting texture, you know, when you knit it up. So I got one of those. And then in another little shop, what's it called? The other one, is it Knit and Stitch?
You think so? I don't really know.
It might be Knit and Stitch. It's kind of just around the corner from Ramshambles. And I went in there and I saw this Regia, and it's the one that I hadn't seen before. And I just loved the colour. So I got a ball of that to give a try as well.
Is that all your...
Then the very last thing, I got this a few weeks ago actually, and I'm pretty sure I haven't shown it. And I was going to cast this on to take away with me, but I cast on 4 other socks. But I've got a skein of the Misty Alpaca. Danny at Little Bobbins was knitting with this a while back, and I was like, oh, I've got to have some of that. It was just beautiful. So I got this, and I think I got it from Love Knitting actually. I think it was Love Knitting. And I got the colourway HS46. I'm not sure what the name is, I'm sorry, it doesn't say it on it, but that's the colour I got. It's beautiful. And so soft. It's absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to knit that up.
Beautiful.
Yes, I think. My goodness.
So here endeth episode 31. It's the end of our Roman journey.
My age.
Yes. It's the end of our Roman journey. Next episode, episode 32, we shall be going to Castle Howard.
We are.
We're very excited. It's an amazing place.
Yeah.
We love it there, so long as there's not too many bees around, which there shouldn't be this time because it's later on in the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a stunning place. Go watch Brideshead Revisited because that was filmed there. So I've always known it as Brideshead, and we'll be doing the country house thing next episode. So patrons, we will see you on Tuesday for more of the DPN sock knit along. Yes, I think that. Have I missed anything?
There was one last thing. I wanted to mention the handbrake. We've not spoke about handbrake for quite some time, and I wanted to just tell you an update really on where we were with how much we've got so far, and I checked yesterday, and we're at just over £1,300 at the moment. So my goodness, thank you so much. It's just amazing, and people,
together we will defeat cancer.
Yeah. And it just amazes me every day people are buying the patterns. So thank you. I mean, I know we don't mention it every time, but I just wanted to give you a little update on where how much you have all donated.
And at a particularly challenging time, since coming back from holiday, we've both been struggling a little bit more than normal with stuff, just because this was the period. We just had our wedding anniversary, which was amazing. And last year I was in having treatment, and this was right at the start of my treatment last year. So I'm getting all sorts of weird things going on upstairs, and it's all been a bit rubbish. So to have that has just been amazing. So thank you all so much. That just shows the power of knitting. It's superhuman. So thank you all so much for watching. And yeah, I think that is everything.
I hope I've not forgotten anything.
No, me too. So we'll see you next episode for more sweets and more out and abouts and more what's on your needle. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.